everyone. How are you all doing? Uh, is Can you guys hear me clearly? Just one second. I can. Okay. Just so we I have received a lot of few questions. No, not few, like 20, 25 questions. We're gonna uh, just, okay. So let's see. Just waiting a few minutes. Let's see if. Okay, so I was talking, but the camera was muted. Okay, so just just okay. So yeah, first of all, we did question. How many questions we did? Did we do question number four? We weren't doing question number four, right? Hello, guys, can you hear me? Okay, so let's start with question number four first. So Basically, what you have to do is I have to turn off the TV. Sorry, just give me one second. Okay, so let's go. Uh, Basically, I'm gonna just present. Share. Can you guys see it now? Yeah, you can. Okay, so some some student they asked me about this that what is the structure of the examination. So I just wanted to share that the examination structure is going to be based on four questions. The first question usually has four parts. In this question, you are often asked about identification questions. The identification questions are very basically simple. There can be different types of identification. Uh, for example, let's say it can be about some data, it can be about some information, or it can be about a trend. The trends are usually, like I have discussed before, the trends are either ascending, descending, or constant. Then the perspective question, we have already covered it. The generalization questions, we have covered those again. We have covered those as well. Usually the marks of question number one are somewhere between 14 to 16. Same goes with question number two. It is a two-part question. There is going to be strengths and weaknesses, and then there is going to be testing a claim. My voice is cracking. Why is my voice cracking? Shouldn't crack. Is it still cracking? Is it still cracking, or it's clear now? Hello? It's clear now? It's clear. Okay, good. Now, coming to the next part, uh, there are basically there's a strengths and weaknesses question, usually 6 to 8 marks, and there's a testing a claim question, which is most definitely going to be 8 marks. After that, the next question is can be one part or three parts. If it is one part, it is just going to be the evaluation of argumentation, just the evaluation of argument, where you are asked to actually evaluate two people's debate. Okay. Now, in addition to this, there can also be some type of statement. Now, what is this type of statement that I'm referring to? I'm just yeah, some type of statement. Basically, for example, it can be fact, opinion, prediction, bias, vested interest, or uh, fact, opinion, prediction, bias, vested, or value judgment. Okay, so this is how your question three then wraps up, and then finally it is the fourth question, which is the course of action question. Basically, the course of action question, before it used to be 24 marks, now it is 20 marks. The course of action is now 20 marks. Okay. Now, coming to the next step. Now I have this course of action question, which is if you look at this is a course of action question. A government wants to encourage migrants to come and work in their country. The following actions are being considered: giving financial support for businesses to employ migrants, relaxing restrictions on migration, offering language and cultural courses to migrants. Which one of these actions would you recommend? Now, this is the this is the approach that the examiner asks you to go through in the question. That is, first you have to state your recommendation, then give reasons and evidence to support your choice, use the material in the source and or any of your own ideas, and then finally consider different arguments and perspectives. Now, apart from that, you can also what you can also do is you can look at this. For example, this is your structure. For example, if you look at this, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. So if you the first thing that you have to do is always is start by choosing your recommended option. No intro needed. Now, for example, like there are many people, what they do is they start giving some sort of introduction, they start giving some sort of uh, let's say data, but you don't have to do that. Always start with mentioning your chosen recommendation. That's one thing that you have to do. Then you have to follow that up by justifying your chosen option. Now, this should roughly be 40% of your response. I always say that this should be somewhere around 40 to 45% of your response. Uh, and then explain why the other two options are not feasible, and do not be too negative here. I always say that explain it in a positive tone and explore another perspective if possible. Now, this you can add to this part, the justifying your option part, and then finally give a conclusion. The conclusion obviously is just you will probably just be repeating what you uh, chose in the recommended option. And then one thing you have to understand, that for this question you can use your own knowledge and the info from the source. Both can be done. I mean, you can there are many people who probably would know a lot about a certain topic, and there are many people who just don't know. Okay, now coming to the next part, I'm just going to go to a sample answer, a sample response. I wrote this sample response myself. It should make things very clear for you guys. Okay? Now, I believe that giving financial support to businesses to employ migrants is the best option to encourage migrants to come and work in a country. Now, this is all. I always say this should be your first line. Now, let's keep moving to and forth. We will see that whether we have covered all the approaches that the examiner is asking. If you cover all the approaches, then you can get 19 marks out, 18, 19, even 20 marks in this question. 20 is a bit hard, but you can get up to 19 marks. Now, so we have done this. Tick, state your recommendation. We have said that. I believe that giving financial support, many people commit a mistake here. I have also seen this mistake in the most recent of the papers that I have checked. I believe all three options are good, or I believe option one and two are good. No, that's not something that you should be doing. That's not something that the examiner does not like that. Okay, now let's go. Give reasons and evidence to support your choice. Let's say if we can do it. There are multiple reasons for this choice. First of all, this is the most direct course of action, meaning that government will be paying the businesses to do exactly what they want, as opposed to the other two options, which are indirect courses of action. Businesses will profit from this as it will reduce their cost of production. This can help reduce inflation in the market as well. Another benefit is that this step would have a quick impact. In the long term, If the government feels that enough migrants have been employed and want to discontinue this approach, they can always stop the funding and the program can be halted. As we know that as we know that in majority of cases migrants are much more hardworking as compared to local population, something which has also been referenced in source 4. Putting these migrants directly in the labor market is going to be beneficial for the country. So now I have used the material in the source and I have given my own ideas to support my recommendation. So I've done that as well. I have given reasons and evidences as well. And now there is these last two things which are considered different arguments and perspectives. Now considering different arguments is basically when you discuss the other two options. But considering different perspectives, I'm just going to show you what this is. From a global perspective, we can see that countries like Germany, Japan, and Canada have successfully injected migrant labor force into their economy by providing incentives to both migrants and businesses. So this is a tried and tested approach. अच्छा ये जो perspective, this perspective thing, ये जो perspective वाली चीज है, you can add it later on as well before the conclusion, or you can add it here. It works in both ways. Okay. And now we are also going to cover one side effect of this. Again, this is not a necessity, but if you can do it, great. While one issue that can arise from this is that local people can protest this step as businesses will start hiring more migrants as compared to locals. This can also create friction among different races in the long term. But with careful planning, this can be avoided. Finally, I would like to say that if migrants are working for companies, that means that they are easy to keep an eye on. Usually countries face issues when it comes to surveillance of migrants. This will also be taken care of through this course of action. So now, like, this is half of your question done basically. uh, Now let's go to the other two options. I do not favor relaxation of immigration policies because the scope of this course of action would not go beyond the working population. With easy ways would go beyond the working population, sorry. With easy ways to come into the country, many shady characters would seek to enter the country and might even commit shady activities. This can increase the crime rate in a country and would also make it hard to keep a surveillance on these people. Okay. And if we have a look at offering language and cultural courses to migrants, I believe that this is a very indirect course of action. First of all, those people who would already be in the country, then it's not clear whether they are even capable of entering the job market or not. And finally, they might not be motivated to work even after receiving these courses. Also, from a broader perspective, but from a broader point of view, such policies are only effective in the long term if there is benefit for all parties involved. So, to conclude, it can be said that providing financial support to businesses to employ migrants is the best course of action in this case. Obviously, you can add a thing here and there, but this should uh, clear things. This can clear things up. Now, did that clear question number 4, guys? Did that clear question number 4 up for you? Now, was that now clear? uh, no, I don't play anymore. It's like the GTA thing. They just they delayed it to May 2026 for some reason. That's just I was a bit not happy with that. I mean, I don't know if I can say any other words here, but yeah, that was ridiculous. Okay, so if we are done with this, now let's move to the question answer session. Let's just move to the question answer session. Okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna move to the question answer sessions. You guys have already provided me with the questions. Okay. UCL predictions, PSG. Uh, Now, someone asked how much marks required overall to get an A star. Now, usually, uh, there is the threshold is near to 80%, meaning that out of let's say 200 marks, you need to get as around 160, and this is not too hard when it comes to your individual report. You are supposed to lose almost 15 to 20 marks there. I mean, that's the toughest marked component. But apart from that, in your examination, you can easily get 65 plus marks, and in your group project, you can easily get up to 60 or even 60 plus marks. So, if you have, uh, if you cover your, let's say, uh, written paper well enough, this just boosts your chances of getting an A star. But near to 80%, almost 80%, 79%. That's why. That's why uh, you need to get an A star. Okay. Next question. Let's go to another question. Upload the structure of an exam. I This is the structure of the exam. Just one more time. This is the exam structure. Someone asked about the exam structure once again. So this is the exam structure. This is the four questions. Part one has usually four. Question number one has four parts. Question number two has two parts. Question number three either one or three parts, and question number four is a one part question. So it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. Then let's see. Moving to I cannot donate to my PS5 because GTA 6 is coming. Okay. Going to the next question. Let's see the next response. Pattern of 20 mark question. I think that we have covered this. This is the pattern. This is the pattern of 20 mark question, and I have also given you a sample answer. So this should clarify things a bit more. Okay. Then let's see. Value judgment and vested interest. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Uh, so I'm just gonna have to look if I have notes for value judgment and vested interest. If you give me 1 second. Just I am not able to find the notes at the moment. Okay, just I don't know. I should have it. Maybe I deleted this types. Okay, I'll share the links maybe. I've shared one link for the value judgment and I have shared another link for the vested interest. So I have shared links for both the value judgment and also the vested interest. So that should clear it up. Let's go to the next question. Let me finish the questions and then I'll talk to you guys. Okay. What is the difference between generalization and generalization? Both are the same thing. I think they are saying what is the difference between generalization with a Z and generalization with an S. Both are same things basically. There is no difference between any of these things. Generalization with an S is just a different way to uh, basically write. Some in English, in American English it's Z, in British English it's S. That's the only difference, if that's what you're asking. 20 mark question, we have already covered again. Okay, so this is an interesting question. Sir, I can't reach marks even though I write the best I can. The teacher mostly say that it's the structure and the development that has to be improved. Can you please tell how to make a develop point and settle that you have a written good answer? Would appreciate. Okay. So this person is basically is he is having an issue that he is not able to basically get good marks. I think that the main reason uh, for this is that people are uh, they are not forming their answers properly. I mean, they might know that they what they have, but they might know what information that they want to use. They might know that what information that they want to utilize, but what the problem might be that they might not be able to actually form the sentence, the examination, the answer structures properly. For this, you have to see both the sessions. This is this session, and then there is the session before this. You will see that I have basically outlined how to form the structure of your answers. If you follow that, I'm basically almost 100% sure that this particular issue of yours will be resolved. uh, Another question: types of statements. One more: types of statements, types of statements. So many questions. Okay, so this is another question. This is by. Okay, so what are the tips for strengths and weaknesses? Now, this is again, we have covered this in the previous session. In the previous session, the strengths and weaknesses and the testing the claim questions have both been covered in the previous sessions. I don't know if you have not seen that session, that maybe that's why you are not understanding how to follow it. But if you see that and still are unable to find that, then you can comment in below it, and then we can look into it. uh, then let's go to the next question basically. What is the next question? The next question is value judgment and biases different. So, what is the difference between a value judgment and a bias? So, basically, a value judgment is a statement that tells you about the rightness, wrongness, or importance of something based on an author's personal point of view, and it cannot be verified. That's the big thing where value judgment cannot be verified. And bias is when someone is unfairly prejudiced in favor or against something. Now, the thing with bias is that its source is in the past. Its source is in the past. Like for example, something people are biased because of something that has already happened. Now, what is that thing in the past that can be something like their upbringing, that can be their religion, that can be their country, that can be their some let's say uh, some bad experience, anything like that. All this can be sources of bias. Generalization. Generalization. Okay, I'm gonna do this once again. Generalization is a question that students are have been having a trouble with a lot lately. So let's see if I have the previous presentation. If I can just get to that, the previous presentation. Okay, I'm just going to explain it a bit. Okay, so what is first of all generalization? Yeah, you have to understand that. Generalization simply means that when you are taking a scenario that might that might only be true in some particular let's say you are taking a statement that might only be true in some particular scenarios, and then you are applying that statement to uh, multiple uh, let's say multiple, yeah. I've also shared a link for generalization, but I'm also going to explain that when there is a statement that only applies to some scenarios, and you are taking that statement and applying it to multiple scenarios. For example, let's say that uh, I'm saying that all the European countries have a very healthy economy. I've used this example before, but if I'm saying all the European countries have a very healthy economy, that's not true, because there are also economies like Greece, there are also economies like Italy, Romania, which are struggling. Uh, so I am taking something from that might be true in maybe many of the cases, but not all of the cases, and then I'm projecting it in a way that that's showing that it's true all of the time, and that's what generalization is. One more example of generalization is that I can say, if I'm saying something like, when people go abroad, they become successful. Now, does everyone who goes abroad become successful? Does everyone? That's not true. So there are many people who go abroad and they struggle and eventually either come back, or they resort to jobs which are very low paying. So again, I'm using a statement that might be true in some of the cases and saying that it is true in all of the cases. Again, this is a scenario of generalization. In your examination, the generalization question will come in a very simple way. They are going to ask you to identify a statement. that is generalization, and then they're going to ask you to tell, they're going to ask you why it is generalization. Let's I'm just gonna give you let's use an extra slide. If I can use let's see, can I write here? I can't write here. I'm gonna just write in a new slide. Let's say, okay. So now let's say you are given. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? You can see the screen, right? Good. Now, let's say that you are given a statement that uh, if you get a degree, you get a good job. All right. Let's say if this is the statement, if you get a degree, you will get a good job. Now, first of all, do this, right? Identify the statement exactly as it is. Okay. Then you say this statement is a case of generalization. That's your first part of the question done. Now come to the second part where he's asking you to justify why this is a generalization. First, define what is a generalization. A generalization is a statement where the writer is projecting something to be true all of the time, while it is only true some of the time. Once you have defined it, you have to justify why this statement is generalization, as not all people who get a degree end up getting a good job, and many struggle in their life. This is a case of generalization. So, if you follow this structure, it does not matter whether the examiner is giving, whether the question is 3 marks or the question is 6 marks. You are going to get full marks. Just identification, definition, justification. 3 parts. If you do this, no examiner is going to cut any marks of you. I can guarantee it. Got it? Let's see more questions. Sir, how to use strengths and weaknesses in any way? Strengths and weaknesses question has again been covered in the uh, last session. Uh, I don't know why students keep asking about this. Okay. Okay. Now this question is that how to divide your time of the exam. Okay. So you have 1 hour 25 minutes. This shouldn't be a problem. Now, before it used to be 1 hour 15 minutes. So if you have, let's say, 1 hour 25 minutes, for the first 5 minutes you should be reading the resource carefully, highlight any significant points that you might think might come in handy later on. Then after that, uh, let's say that you need to have at least 20 to 25 minutes for the last question, then 15 minutes for the second last question. So that gives you around 40 minutes, and you can divide these 40 minutes between the first two questions. So 20 minutes for the first question, 20 for the second questions, 15 for question number 3, and then 25 minutes for the last question. This is I think a good enough division, because in the first two questions you have to go through the resources a lot. You have to find a lot of information again and again. But by the time you are in at the end of the examination, you already know much of what's already written in the source, and you can speed up things here. For last question, do one thing: make a small structure at the side that this is how you're going to attempt. The points that are in the favor, the points that are in the case, always helps, I think, because when you are writing a long question, you can forget sometimes what you are writing. So just that's just one more tip. Next question, sir. Can you explain how to identify each type of statement from the passage? I posted a link with all. There is a link for all 7 types of statements in the in this in the pack. I'll post the pack once again. It shows you how to identify each type of statement. But let me be very clear. This time it is almost 100% sure that the statement that is going to come is generalization. It can be generalization plus one more statement, but most definitely generalization is going to come. Okay. How to solve causes and consequences question. Now, this is again a good question, that how to solve the causes and consequences question. So the first thing that you need to know is you have to read the question carefully. Let me just give you an example. Now, causes and consequences question can come in many ways. For example, in both of these questions, the examiner is asking you to identify the causes of globalization at national level or consequences of globalization at national level. And all you have to do is to list multiple causes and consequences. That's it. However, this question can also come in another way. Explain. Now the examiner is not asking you to list down multiple consequences or list down multiple causes. Now the examiner is asking you to explain a consequence. One consequence at global level, one consequence of globalization at global level, and one consequence of globalization at national level. You just have to explain two consequences, one at national level, one at global level, and then elaborate, because now the examiner is asking you to explain. He's not just asking you to list down. Another way this question can come is, sorry. Now the examiner has changed the the question. He has made it to a personal level, or he can also tell you, This means that now you have to explain 2 to 3 consequences, but you can't just list down. When the examiner is asking you to uh, when the examiner is asking you what, then he's asking you to list down. When the examiner is asking you to explain, then he's asking you to elaborate. That's the difference. And this difference is uh, something that you need to understand before answering the question. Read the question very carefully. Okay, so any more question, guys? Before I wrap up, if you have any more question, we are going to have one last session before the exam on the night of the 7th. Exam is on 8th. We are going to have one more session on the night of the 7th. But before, do you have any more questions? You can write it in the comment. I can read it, or we can just wrap it up because I believe you guys also have some another paper on 7th. I think it's Islamiyat, so it's fine. You guys can go and work on that. I didn't want to take too much time, but many students requested, so I just that's why I held this session. Any question? If you don't have any question, we can wrap it up right here, and then you can even save your questions for the last session on 7th. Okay, controller. I'll talk to the controller. Okay. Where do you? Yes, you can visit in school. Sure, no problem. Okay. See you tomorrow. Inshallah.